Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and today I'm coming to you with another field strip video. And I'm doing this field strip video on this Noveske Space Invader because it looks like a standard AR-9. And in many ways it is. It's just a very high quality and well built version of that gun. However, its disassembly is a little bit tricky, and I kind of wanted to document that and maybe help somebody in the future that purchases one of these and just cannot figure out how in the world this thing comes apart, because you think it would come apart just like any AR-15. So here we have the Noveske Space Invader. The only thing you may need is a little punch or maybe a little piece of plastic. I'm just going to use a little cleaning brush here, and I only need this to help push through the takedown pins because they seem to be under a lot of pressure. And it seems like on the Noveske Space Invaders, this is a common issue, but it has to do with how the gun is assembled. All right, so the first thing, of course, we want to do is drop the magazine, make sure there's no ammunition in that magazine. We will then turn the gun over. Let's pull the charging handle back and visually inspect that chamber to make sure there is no ammunition in there, and it looks like we are good. Now, because I have pulled the charging handle back, the hammer is back, we want to put the gun on safe. This is very, very important. Next thing we want to do is pull the brace or the stock back. And this is one of those Q-inspired PDW braces, but if you have the SBR, it would be a stock. The next thing you want to do is push out the takedown pins. Now, normally on an AR-15, you would do the back first, hinge the gun open. You might not even need to take the upper off the lower. However, with the recoil system of this gun, you have to take both pins out. All right, so let's go ahead and push those pins through. We'll start with the one in the front, then the one in the back. Turn the gun over, and then we might be able to pry these out. There's the first one. This one is a little bit tight, but there we go. Now, this is where everything is different compared to a normal AR-15. You're essentially going to want to take the upper receiver and let it come forward just a little bit. Then you'll hinge it down, and the takedown slot in the upper should go around the hammer, and then the whole gun comes apart. So here we have our lower receiver. Looks like a pretty standard AR-15 or AR-9 style lower receiver. You have this little recoil spring which goes into the buffer extension. Now we can pull the charging handle back, take out the other part of the recoil spring. Then we have your bolt and your charging handle. And there you go. That is a complete field strip of the Noveske Space Invader. And as you can see, it has a few extra parts in it, and it comes apart a little bit different. And I can tell you, reassembly can be a little bit tricky. So I don't really think this is a gun that you can take apart in the field really fast and get it back into action if this is the type of gun that you would want in some type of end of the world scenario. But let me clean this gun up because we recently got it to the range, and then let's put it back together. All right, so we got this Space Invader all cleaned up, so let's reassemble it. We're going to start with the upper receiver. We're going to put in the charging handle like you would on any AR-15. Also put on the bolt. Now, because this does not have a separate bolt, it's not a rotating bolt design, you don't have to line anything up. It should just simply slide right into the upper. Then we're going to take the two parts of the recoil spring assembly, or the buffer spring, and you gotta make sure that you put in the part that has the weight of the buffer into the receiver from the back. So in this case, it says H3. That's gonna go into the back of that bolt. We'll put that to the side for just a moment. Then we'll take the other part of the recoil assembly, or the buffer spring, put that into the buffer tube. Now, this is where things get a little bit difficult because you have to essentially slide the upper receiver onto the lower from the front. It's very different than your standard AR-15. And sometimes it can be a little bit clumsy because you just gotta hold things and make sure the spring goes in together the right way. It's just a little bit awkward. So make sure that your pins are pushed all the way through the receiver. Those are a little bit tight. There we go. And so now you have to put the rear end of this buffer spring into this little cup. So we'll do that first. Then I'll take my hands and I kind of guide the upper backwards just a little bit, and that takedown area on the upper receiver has to go around the hammer into the lower. Now let me kind of use both hands here and put it together. Make sure the pins are still all the way through. Then it should slide on. You push it back and you can push those pins through the receiver. And then we'll take the magazine and of course do a function check. And it looks like we're good. So everything seems to be working. Let me put the gun on fire. As you can see, there still is no ammunition in the firearm, so I can safely pull the trigger. And it seems to work like it should. So there you go. That is a complete field strip and reassembly of the Noveske Space Invader. A little bit more tricky than your standard AR-9 or AR-15, but I thought it was worth making a video because you may own one of these and can't figure it out, and hopefully this helps someone in the future. All right, so let me know if you have any questions, and as always, thanks for watching.